Okay, so it has to be selected from neutral, which is what you're in there, yeah? Press that arrow down for us there. Okay. Pressing the arrow down, now you see on there, you've got it lit up. It flashed at first, but now it's solid, yeah? Press it one more time, you then transfer to the, not just the 4x4, but that low ratio that I've just been talking about on the way here, yeah? So, what we're now going to do is move away, yeah? So do what you'd normally do with a manual vehicle, into that first. Looks like we're clear, that's it. And what you'll notice is that it doesn't really react like you'd expect.
No.
Yeah, it's quite sort of resisted, yeah? You're thinking, what's this? Why is it screaming at me, yeah? So pop it to second, that's it. So what we're saying is that's exactly the feeling you get because it's not letting the wheels go too fast, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay? So what you'll tend to find as a driver, you're almost instinctively thinking, come on, I need another gear, yeah? But just get used to that second and how it feels, yeah? What you're going to do for me here is, again, just as an exercise to get you used to what you do with the wheel and the effect it has, you're going to do me a little bit of a weave in and out of the cones here, yeah? It just gets you acquainted to the dimension and feel of the vehicle, yeah? Okay. Feels odd, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's been a while since I've driven a manual.
Manual, yeah.
Am I just staying in second? Yeah.
Stay in second for us, yeah, and use the second gear now to see if you can keep yourself accurate between moving in and out of these like a slow. It's quite nimble, isn't it, for a big vehicle, to be fair, yeah?
Yeah.
It doesn't make heavy going of things, yeah? It's quite light on the wheel. That's it. I'm bringing it round, swinging it back down the hill to our left. Bringing it round this way, that's it. And somewhere down towards the bottom here, yeah?
Steering it wide in.
Yeah. Okay, bring this to a gentle halt just here, yeah? So, we said we'd also cover today principles there is with driving anything off-road, yeah?
Yeah.
Got a hill in front of us, yeah? So, as we drive up a hill, why should we, if that's your hill, try and tackle the hill as best we can in a straight line direction? What's the reason why we go up in straight lines where possible?
The reason?
Yeah.
Shortest way to the top?
It's the shortest way, but it's the safest way. Because if you go up a hill like that, and the hill is damper, waterlogged, in other words, if you lose traction like that, you're going to go where? A hell of a lot of the weight of your vehicle also is sitting on that front axle. So what it's going to do is like a pendulum effect, yeah? So you can have as many fancy buttons as you like here. When you're going sideways, you're going to struggle. So we always have a principle that when you're climbing hills where it's possible, you go in a straight line.
Okay.
And there are going to be areas today you're going to cover which are tree covered, and there are situations therefore that means that you can't always go up in a straight line because of the tree coverage eliminates that path, yeah? But where possible, like on an open field like this, straight line it, yeah? Equally so, when we come down this hill, we'll come down like what? Straight line, for exactly the same principle, yeah, okay? Because it creates control, okay? So, what we're going to be doing now, we're going to be moving away, pop it into that first gear, we're going to be climbing up to the top of the hill, into that second.
Can you tell that I'm driven a manual?
But you're glad you're on an open field for this, yeah? That's it, yeah. So as we come to this bit here, you'll feel the hill, you know, beginning to steepen, if you like, yeah? But what I want you to show yourself now is if you come off the power completely, so there's no acceleration at all. Okay. What's it doing? It feels like it's turned into an automatic, yeah? So in other words, there's enough torque there in that low ratio. But even in the second gear, it ticks itself along. Now there are scenarios where we're saying that off-road driving isn't about speed, it's about control. As slow as possible, but as fast as necessary, yeah? So let's say you were doing this and it's climbing fine, but let's say you thought, oh, it might be a little bit more trickier here. What can you do now with your acceleration? Give it a little bit of power.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, you're giving it and delivering what it needs.
Yeah.
No more, no less. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the key to it. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll hold just there. We're going to stay behind this white one. Hold us just there.
I suppose I could use. Oh no, I would have to keep creeping. But
Into that first gear now. And bringing it forward gently. Lovely. So we're going to be taking that similar line at that white vehicle. So get up towards that fence line first.
Yeah.
Keep a bit closer this way. When you got to the top, just bring us to a gentle halt. So dip that clutch and gently brake. Now, we just used second gear, climbing on its own, yeah? You're now going to go through those posts and down the hill like the white one's done, yeah?
Okay.
But, you know, I mentioned earlier about how the low ratio can create resistance, yeah? So when we go down this hill, I don't want you to use any brakes. I don't want you to use any acceleration either, yeah? And you're not going to touch that clutch at all, yeah?
Gotcha.
So you're going to go to first gear, so pop it into that first for us now. And gently move us along, very slowly. That's it. So, no power, remember, just let the tick over do the what it wants. So she's coming round here, yeah? As soon as you get the car straight,
Yeah.
which you will do very soon,
Uh-huh.
put the wheel back to straight now. And let the vehicle just keep going. No power, no power. Okay, bring it slowly along. Don't use any brakes.
That was like just instinctual. That.
Yeah.
So should I let off the clutch here?
Let the clutch completely off. That's it.
Sorry,
because
I
then
had
you
the
engage
clutch
it.
down there, my
So
bad.
that's why the engagement isn't
Yeah,
there.
I
Yeah?
see,
Do you get what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah.
I wouldn't-
And that's you
yeah.
getting back into manual mode, isn't it? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Rather than auto. Yeah.
Got it.
Because if the clutch is only slightly up, your gear isn't fully engaged.
Fully in, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's my bad. My bad.
Good.
See what I mean?
So you're going to leave it in that first for us because I want you to hook a right for us now. Look over your right shoulder.
Yeah.
Keep going along just momentarily. And then you're going to climb up the hill again.
Round two.
Round two, that's it. Straighten the wheel back up. Into a second gear. Okay, hold us there. Clutch down. That's it. Start the car up again. Brilliant. Pop it in first. And bring it along now. So you got it.
Holy moly. Jack, jack, jack.
That's it. Bringing it up to the top.
Which leaves the gate open or closed?
Close it for us, Deb.
Open, that.
No, close it for us, please. Nicely to the top. Keep it coming straight line. Keep it coming, keep it coming. That's it. And again, if you just dip the clutch and gently brake there, pop it back to that first. Gently now with that clutch. Keeping the clutch fully off now, so you've got no clutch, no brake, no gas.
Ah.
That's it. Bringing it round, so you're letting the vehicle do the
Yeah,
work
dude.
and do the arguable resistance.
Yeah.
For you to do this again, you can now experience the difference between the two. When you've got that gear engaged,
Yeah.
no power, no gas, nothing at all. Clutches, pedals completely off. Look at that.
See what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. It snails it. But the beauty is by snailing it, it eliminates the need or the feel like you need to brake.
Yeah. And then if I want, well, I mean, I suppose
Yeah,
if you want
if
to
you
go
want
quicker,
more
yeah,
drive, you give it a little bit of power.
Yeah.
What you avoid doing though is changing gear, because while you're in the process of changing gear, what's going to happen to that clutch? It goes down.
It
What
goes
happens to your
down.
speed?
I
It
know,
goes
it
too
goes
fast. So the key is keep it in first. If you need to go quicker, you just give it a bit of power.
Yeah.
So if you give it a bit of power now, it goes faster. You know, as soon as you come off the power,
I'm just going straight back.
it has that holding quality, doesn't
Yeah.
it? So that's how you keep that control. Now, with all the best will in the world, there are sometimes situations that don't go to plan.
Mhm.
In other words, the hill's a bit slippier than you anticipated. There's an area that you didn't think was there, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of it. So a little bit of power brings us down, because what we're going to be doing again, we're not going to go to the right this time, we're going to go to the left at the bottom here, yeah? Okay. So we'll get to the sort of the base a little bit further first. So what we're now having is what a driver creates is what is essentially a plan B to a problem, yeah? So if you go to the left now for me, continue along shortly first, looking onto your left now, so you've got your hill to your left.
Yeah.
We're going to climb up that hill again, yeah?
Okay.
So bring it round now. Aiming as if you like up the hill, nice straight line. That's it. Keep it in first for us for the moment. Yeah, so the scenario is we're climbing a hill. If you're looking at tracks, if a track becomes very dark, what might be the reason why it's become very dark as you climb?
It's quite well trodden.
Well, it could also be not just the fact.
Oh, it's damp.
Yeah, that's right. So what we're saying is sometimes you can get the early warning, but if let's say you're the first person climbing that hill,
yeah,
you've got no sort of trace marks there to tell you that, yeah? So keep climbing just gently up here. You're coming a lovely straight line, which is perfect for what we're going to be doing, yeah? So now go against all your natural instinct now. Brake and only brake, fully down. No clutch, no brake. That's it. Keep that brake there now.
Okay.
Handbrake on. Pop it into neutral. Get yourself started up again. Pop it into reverse, which is push down on this.
Okay.
And up, that's it. Get your foot brake off. Make sure your hat. So you've got your bike, now get your bike point found. Keep it there, a little bit higher. There. Yeah. Handbrake off now. And let both your feet off the pedals. Off completely. Completely off. What's controlling your speed?
Well, the
low ratio.
The low ratio.
So the low range or the low ratio also helps with reverse. So you climbed a hill, got yourself in a bit of a pickle because you won't go any further.
Yeah.
You want to get out of that situation safely because you certainly can't go any further forward because you won't go. But you want a descent that's going to have an element of safety.
Yep.
And this is what you're doing, yeah?
That's it.
And because you went in a straight line, all you've got to do, retrace where you come from.
Yeah.
You go like that and end up in problems. It's still a difficult solution to sort that out.
Yeah.
You've still got a problem on your hands, haven't you? Yeah.
So just on this then. So when I'm bringing the clutch up,
Yeah.
if you just find the bite and then get it moving,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need any. You don't necessarily need to put any
No
power.
power, no power
you
at
just,
all.
You just make sure that it's
Yeah.
going, and then you just.
Because as you found, it's got its own almost
got its
built
own,
out
yeah.
tick over power, which
Okay.
you don't need to set the gas with this so much.
Yeah.
Okay, hold us there. And that's not because it's come up to something. What is that? That's because the sensor is picking up the ground at the back, yeah?
Oh,
That's all
I
it
see,
is.
I see.
So if you want to start us up, pop it in neutral, get rid of that horrible whistling noise, yeah? Let's get the vehicle started up now again. So if you look to your right, there's a gate over there, the corner of the field, just over there, yeah? That metal gate, just head over towards that if you could. So first gear, taking us across there. That's it. Good. That's just that little bit of a churn of the tyres on the grass because you're twisting and turning. It goes against its instinct, yeah.
Okay.
So we're heading over towards that. You can pop it to a second if you want now. That's it. Good. Okay. Straighten us up for the gate. And if you just now again, just lower that clutch gently down, gently brake there for us. Pop it to neutral. And pop on that handbrake. I'll just go and open the gate. Keeps all the sheep in. Yeah. Fortunately, we've got a vehicle behind, so they'll be doing the shutting of the gate, which is always good. Into that first, and we'll check on overway jack. So just following the track around just so you go around the outside edge of the field. Let's find that third gear. So what you said earlier, you're right, because this is more marked just purely on volume of traffic. Yeah, we've been using it, so it's kind of the grass has become flattened. But if you look at this field, see how it comes into like a V, yeah, down and then back up towards that tree there. Yeah. When the grass was longer, which it was last time we came, you could almost tell by the grass, it was like really darker grass growing longer there, yeah? So what we're saying is, as you're going down the track, the natural place where water's going to gather is going to be in the hollow, yeah? And that becomes apparent here. When you look at the tracks in a minute, they don't just become darker, they become actually grooved, which is then they become what we consider to be referred to as ruts, yeah? A rut is where it's a softer bit of ground, and sometimes if there's a vehicle like the one that's following us, a defender, that's going to make them more pronounced, yeah, okay? So you'll see those in a minute in the natural place you'd expect them to be, yeah? That's it. So you can see them, can't you? See how dark it is there?
Yeah. And
how grooved they are, yeah?
Yeah.
We're going to use them, we're going to go through them, yeah?
Okay.
But what we're going to do is reduce to a second gear just as we get into them. It creates a little bit more feel of control. That's it. Clutch back up gently. That's it, that's second. Both hands on that wheel. That's it. Good. Keep that power nice and controlled so there's momentum there. Keep the wheel nice and straight. And you'll feel it being almost like you're on like a track.
Yeah, it's just...
It sort of weaves you through, it's like you're on rails, isn't it, yeah? There's a term that people use online called stuck in a rut, yeah? It's very literal when we're talking about off-road driving, because in that middle section, when the walls were quite deep, you'll tend to find no matter whether you want to or not, you can't get out of them, yeah? If we felt those were too deep, what you can do is what's called straddle the ruts. So you put your wheels outside of those grooves in a position that means that you're not actually going into them, yeah?
Over the crossroads down to the stream.
So we're going to take a right turn as we come into this quarry area now, yeah, okay? So to allow us again even more control, we're going to reduce the gear by one more into a first, yeah? That's it. That's it. Gently does it. Good. As we continue along, it is a track, believe it or not. It doesn't appear to be. The track appears to only go that way, but there is one that goes that way that we're going to use, yeah, to the right, yeah. So if you steer right for me now, you'll see the track.
Clear, please, Gina. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. It's lovely. So now your terrain has changed quite markedly, hasn't it, from what you've done before? It's not so much open field, it's more overgrown track with trees and stuff, yeah? Pop it to a second gear though, yeah? It means from a driver's perspective, it does make noting where your track is slightly less obvious, yeah? We can almost tell, we've flattened down this middle bit.
When we see the crossroads.
When we came here earlier, of course, it was all grow, yeah? So now we've kind of, by coming down, we've flattened it, yeah?
Yeah.
So what you can tell though is that the track or the gradient is starting to go downwards, isn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now we've already experienced downhill gradients, yeah. We used the first, if you remember, on the big hill, didn't we? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So here we're in second. So at this point now, rather than giving it power, give it nothing. Let it just do it on its own, yeah. See how it's a bit rutted here and a bit muddy. Mm-hmm. So let's say you felt like you might get stuck in that a bit. Give it a little bit of power. And it just pulls it. Yeah. So what you're doing as a driver, you're manipulating that power pedal, a little bit of gas just to get it over something coming up, because then your resistance is there, yeah?
Just let the
Keep in those grooves, yeah, keep in those grooves. That's it, straighten that wheel up, that's it.
There we go.
That's it.
I'll just keep it straight.
That's it, just glad you just keep following down, that's it, you're doing lovely, mate.
Like my head's just like turn.
And keep following with it, that's it. It's little touches, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah. Okay.
That's it. Good. So it's not exactly surprising that there is damper bits down here because we're at the bottom of the hollow, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So any gradients are water's going to run naturally to these points. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. See your track just ahead. That's it. Good. So I mentioned earlier about straddling ruts, yeah, if they were deep. The problem's when you're in this sort of terrain, you've got nowhere to straddle to. Yeah, you're going to straddle into a tree, yeah. So what we're saying is that's where the vulnerability comes. So you can see here now it's a little bit boggy, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is here, you've got the correct gear, just give it a little bit of gas. And it isn't to wheel spin, it's just give it a bit more encouragement to help it through rather than just that tick over, yeah? So straighten that, that's it, lovely. Not too tight on these trees, they're a little bit wider, that's it. And what you'll often find, when there are trees very close by, you feel a little bumped because that's often the roots that are coming from the trees which are slightly exposed because we're driving through this ground like this, yeah. Branches and that will tend to just break, yeah, we don't really feel those. It's a root that's got really no give, to be fair. That's what often will damage off-road vehicles' tyres. You jam it and it pinches a tyre, yeah. That's it, so straightening it up, good. Excellent stuff. Good.
So these ruts formed, is this just by like cars going over?
Just
it?
us, yeah, just using this quarry area, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's as you can see, it's very an organic kind of course we've got here. There's nothing arguably man-made about this, yeah. We've sort of just cut paths through with the vehicles mostly. Yeah. You bring us to a gentle halt. A little bit further for me, just a little bit. You know, we do a bit of maintenance work here. Yeah. Just hold it, just about there, mate. That's good stuff. It's this branch here. I've been past it a couple of times today, and it's just the most unkind branch. So handbrake on. Just going to quickly go and try if I can just get rid of it.
Okay.
sorted. Cheers for that.
Alright, nice.
Alright, so pop us now to that first gear now.
Just follow it around, yeah.
A little bit wider. And then take it back. That's it. So we mentioned about the darkness of tracks, yeah? So as you come along here, immediately you'll see again that it's quite dirty, quite brown, yeah?
Yeah.
So it suggests that, you know, it could be a bit slidier, and it's that second. What we're also looking at for here is more and more tracks coming from various different angles, yeah? Looking for the 4x4s, yeah? So nobody's coming down that one, we can see it's clear.
Yeah.
Carry on. So when we were on that hill, when we were climbing, we were being quite straight on, weren't we, yeah?
Yeah.
But what are you having to do here? You're having to make kinks. You can't always get the terrain to work as you would ideally like to take a hill. That's it, good. That stuff. We'll take this right here.
There's just no problems at all.
Yeah, absolutely fine, yeah.
Yeah, incredible. Straight on?
Straight on.
Straight on. Do you do a lot of this yourself? It sounds like not just here, but like elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Defender, to be fair, yeah, that's what I tend to walk into, using Defenders and stuff. I mean, I think this is a good intermediate, yeah. This is far better on the road than the Defender. The Defenders are horrible to drive on the road. We're going to head that way there, that's right there, yeah.
That's okay.
Now, as we head down this track again, although we're in second now, just bring this to a gentle standstill. I'll explain why we're doing what we're doing, yeah. You know, when you're down that field hill, when we went down in first gear, what you said yourself was you can control your speed by using your power. Yeah. So if you're going down a hill that you don't know, all you can tell is it's downhill going into something down there. If you've elected to stay in a second, and then the second doesn't have the holding quality that you'd like, what are you then faced with trying to do when you're already
put your clutch down
to change gear?
And then
If you're already having problems with second gear going too fast, you're not going to help yourself by dipping the clutch to go to a first. Or alternately, what you're going to do, stop, then you're having to brake on that hill.
Yeah.
So what's the best precautionary measure? Use first, yeah? If you become familiar, let's say you were local to this area and this is a route that you used with an off-road vehicle and you've been down it a few times, just like you would as a driver, you can then make your own decisions based on knowledge of it and think, this isn't actually too bad, I'll do it in a second, I've been down it first and to be fair, it was fine, yeah? But in a precautionary measure, use first, yeah? So pop it into that first for us. That's it. So what we've got at the bottom here, there is actually there's like a pond type thing at the bottom here. Yeah? It's not easy to see because there's so much greenery around here. That's why when we've been there before on these experiences, we've come down and recce this, and we'll normally recce this on foot. You come and have a look at it first before you bring us. Don't send a car down.
Yeah.
We've got down here, and from about where we are now, it was all underwater here completely. Yeah, definitely was no good idea to bring a car down here. But you can see as you come down here, there are some slightly more substantial trees, yeah? So what that creates is that arguable bumping about more. You'll feel that as you're coming through here. As long as you're combating that with a nice position of that wheel, so any deviation you combat, yes, you know what I mean, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's sometimes you think, what was that? And that'll never move. You'll always feel that here because it's clearly some of the roots coming across, yeah? That's it. Good. Now, if we run these events and on the day the weather's bad, then yes, there are occasions that these routes do deteriorate, yeah?
Yeah.
And they can deteriorate to such a degree that they become not really usable anymore, yeah? And that's all to do with the weather and all to do with us, yeah? So at this point now, we're now going to do a climb. Now, as you get to the bottom here, just before you start your ascent and climbing up, just knock it to a second gear now. Because that second now isn't going to be impacted on green too fast because you've already plateaued out, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's it. That's right. Like you were climbing the hill field, yeah. But what you can already experience here is, again, that will have been a route of some sort. You can't climb this hill in a straight line, like zigzags.
Yeah, exactly.
But because of the terrain that you're in, you can't just do straight line. That's it, yeah, that's it. Okay, we're getting sorted to the plateau bit. It's actually where we first come into the quarry here, yeah. There's going to be a turn that's going to take us back onto a field, yeah. So again, as we plateaus out, again to create control here, we're going to be changing a gear back to a first. Hold the team exiting the quarry back onto the field. So go to first. It's okay. And as we come through here, remember what we said? We don't want brakes, yeah, that's it. To the right, yeah. There's a gate post on either side. So what you're creating here is the control of that low ratio first that you put it in to snail it round here.
Yeah.
So it gives you all the freedom to then adjust wheel, adjust position, so you're not flying down that drop there. Gravity can't get hold of you there because the gear itself is reducing that, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that kind of.
Yeah. And then back to a second. So, you know, I said earlier about when you went through these ruts, if you've got the room, sometimes, yeah, you can do, yeah. Sometimes you can avoid those ruts. But you'd have to make that decision early, because as soon as you're in them, what do we say? You can't get out, yeah? So it might seem premature, but if you already now shape up to get your wheel here in the middle, yeah? So you're going on the nice sort of more prune grass in the centre, that means then your wheels won't actually go into the deep bit. Like I said, in the areas you've just come from the quarry, that's not really always going to be possible to do that. And here, to be fair, you've already proved you can use that, but it's only when you were saying that if it's vulnerable, what's going to happen to the bottom of your vehicle if these are very, very deep?
Well, you're just going to
get stuck, gets grounded, yeah. So basically, you're beaching your vehicle. Perfect. So there's a solution, isn't there, to problems a lot of the time, yeah. Fortunate thing is, when a ground's relatively soft, not that you want to catch the bottom, you'll tend to find that, for want of a better word, your car becomes something of a bit of a mud plough, yeah? It takes a bit of cleaning sometimes, yeah? But you don't do any real harmful damage.
Yeah.
If you go through an area that's had rain and then had a really long dry spell, the ground can become like concrete.
Yeah, it's really
You take yourself into a deep rut then, and you catch the bottom of your car, it's like hitting a pavement, yeah? And you will rip bottom of your car off, yeah? You'll take bits of your vehicle with you, yeah?
Have you done that before?
No.
No.
But that's why you've got to be very, very careful. It's about being aware of the vulnerability. It doesn't mean on a soft road you can blase, it's still about principle. But occasionally, if a driver has caught bottomed out, you find that they haven't done much to the vehicle. Head into that third gear.
Have you ever been abroad? Have you ever been abroad to Offroad?
It would be good. I'd love to go on sort of the sand dunes and stuff. That must be pretty fun, to be fair.
On the bucket list?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So you're a defender?
Yeah. Second gear. The gate should be open, but of course we'll need to shut the gate behind us, yeah. So as you're getting closer now, I'd even elect that first gear, yeah, just to make yourself as manoeuvrable as possible, yeah.
Should we just go through it?
That's it, through the gate. As soon as you clear the gate, then I can get out and we can sort it out. That one, that's fine.
Yeah.
Touch down on brake, got in through there, shut that gate, brake on. Good stuff. We'll continue straight along there.
When you're going uphill, should you really try and... So let's say you're going uphill and you're like, oh, probably need to be in gear 2 for that one. Should you really be in gear 2 before you're going up the hill?
Yeah, you tend to find, as you found, when you change gears on a hill, you can lose momentum.
You just slide back down.
It's about technique as well. You can speed up your gear change.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're at the base of the hill, you could maybe set your gear so you're sorted then, yeah.
Yeah. I've collected a coat.
That's good. So a little bit of power.
Yeah.
And pop it into that third gear. That's it. Good.
I'm just hanging around.
That's it. See where the black car's at the top. We'll pull up somewhere just near there.
Leave the gate for you, Paul.
Yeah, that's fine, no worries.
I'm just coming through, is that okay, Paul?
Yeah, go for it. Okay, if you lower that clutch down now, just gently brake. And brake up. Okay, good stuff. What we'll do now, we'll swap over. Mark, where are you, mate?
It's okay, don't worry.
Okay, mate, no worries.
Gate mesh, I think.
Cheers for that.
No worries, no worries at all.
That's absolutely super.
Yeah. How did you book us, by the way? Was it through ourselves? Was it through a third party? Was it Virgin? Or?
It was a voucher, so it was a gift to me from my mum and dad. So,
Well, you should get something through from the company in respect of, you know, how you rated the day.
yeah,
We've got Facebook visibility. Sure, you're on Facebook, yeah?
yeah.
If you look for Offroad Driver, stick a review there. That's where we get a lot of the return customers. It's social media now,
Yeah,
where a lot
yeah.
of the work is. Yeah.